can't do this on my own. Hey, no. Someone watching this shit close. Yup, close. I've been me since Scarlet Road. Hey, road. Hey. Might go down as G-O-D. Yup, wait. I go hard on Southside G. Hey, wait. I make sure that Northside E. Yeah. And still. Bad things, it's a lot of bad things that they wishing and wishing and wishing and wishing they wishing on me.
Hey, what's happening? How we doing? Welcome to my show, The Choices We Make. Let's talk about it. As you know by now, I'm your host, Robert T. Gardner Jr., a.k.a. the Relationship Change Agent. Why do I call myself a relationship change agent? Because I do work to prevent unhealthy relationships like anger management, intimate partner violence, bullying, and workplace violence. So, to continue on my last show, we talked about the choices we make. And what I realized from that show, that I probably did not say enough about the choices we make. So I wanted to continue on with that topic for this show because aside from what I said when I talked about my own life and my experiences with my friends last time around and how it was important for me to stand up for myself and make some very unpopular choices with my crew, I wanted to also indicate that there are some things that go into making good choices. And I think we need to touch on that to really get a better understanding. Because you see, we think it's easy to make choices, and it is, because they happen so frequently, so often on a daily basis. But when it comes down to standing up for yourself and having to make good choices when you might experience peer pressure or pressure to be cool or to steal a moment, to make good choices, there's some things we need to have. And the first thing I would say that we should have when it comes to making good choices is we should have good self-esteem. And why should you have good self-esteem when it comes to making choices? Essentially because when you have a good feeling about yourself, then you tend to lead and not follow. Usually when you have friends who, may take charge of the crew and want to put you up to something no good. When your self-esteem is good, then it gives you a better chance at having the courage to stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not feeling like that's something I want to do. And despite what your friends might say about it, how they might feel about it, it wouldn't matter to you as much if you take a strong stand for yourself, and it wouldn't matter what they thought. Another component to making choices I think is essential is to love yourself. Have some self-love. Care more about you than you care about your friends. Now, for some of you, that might not make too much sense. But what I'm really saying is sometimes our friends can put us in some scenarios that are not really good and could have some significant consequential negative consequences. And if you put yourself first and above all, because you love yourself, you feel good about yourself, that is so important when it comes to making good decisions that might be considered unpopular with your crew. You must care about yourself more than you care about your so-called friends. Sometimes we have friends, and sometimes we have people who pass through our lives. And sometimes it's those people who pass through our life that, sometimes they'll put us to the test. And we have to understand that I feel like I'm loving myself too much to make a bad decision for you. Like, I'll give you an example. Some of my, there's one guy in particular that I grew up with. I'm not going to use his name, but I still love him. But there were times where he had, he was the so-called leader, the unwritten or unspoken leader of the crew. And we often found ourselves, we would be at parties, and we often found ourselves in scenarios with him where we had to fight our way out of parties. The word back then, we'd be dancing, and then he would come up behind you and say, "Don't go nowhere. We got static." And quite often, as I said, we had to fight our way out of parties. But then there were times where we had to do some other things that this unspoken leader put us up to. And the point I'm trying to make is today, my friend, the unspoken leader who will go unnamed, unfortunately, he's a heroin addict. So can you imagine how we where we put ourselves out there for who we think is our friend today, and then 10, 12, 15 years from now, we have no idea where these people are. So understand the importance of loving yourself, making decisions for yourself so that you can find a way to live a good life. And the third point I want to make, I just have to check my talking points, is do not be afraid to stand up for yourself. Do not be afraid to say that I'm not going to do it. You may feel that your friends may reject you, not accept you. I was one of those who stood up for myself. And to be honest with you, my friends, they called me names, punk, chump, and things of that sort. But they never rejected me or pulled my hangout card. I was always able to still, hang with the crew, although it did not matter to me whether or not they would have pulled my hangout card. But the idea is, in the moment you feel like, hey, I'm not down, they're not going to, value me as a friend. But no, stand up for yourself. Stand up. And I would say, right there, those are three good elements of making choices. To have good self-esteem, to love yourself, and to have the courage to stand up for yourself. If not, if you continue to follow your friends around on their decisions, you'll be living their dreams and never experience your own dreams. And on that note, I want to take a moment and just correct something I said on my last show. Last time around, I had indicated that The Choices We Make was my new book. However, I'm sadly mistaken. The Choices We Make was my first book. And this book meant so much to me, and in the excitement, I just said it was my first book. So I just want to clarify that. And so, moving on, hopefully I provided some additional information that's essential to making good choices. Quite often, we can take our choices for granted, but understand there are some elements, some things that go into making good choices. And if you want to live a good life, you must understand that in the end, your life, whether you live a good life or a bad life, will come down to the choices we make. On that note, I'm going to ask you to please like my show. I want you to like my show, whether you like it or not. Like my show and become a subscriber. I have so much to share, so much to offer with you. I'm excited about doing this program with you. Until the next time we meet, remember, happiness is a choice. Choose happiness. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Bad things. It's a lot of bad things that they wish and I wish and I